As the warm days of summer start to fade, our thoughts often turn to the cooler months ahead. We begin to wonder what the coming winter will bring. Will it be mild and gentle, or will it be a season of heavy snow and biting cold? These are not just idle thoughts. Knowing what to expect from winter is incredibly important for everyone. It helps us plan and prepare for everything from our daily commute to staying warm and safe in our homes. For many communities, early forecasts are vital tools that help them get ready for whatever Mother Nature has in store for the season. Forecasting the weather, especially for an entire season, is a complex science. Meteorologists like myself look at a vast amount of data from all over the world. We study patterns in the oceans, the atmosphere, and even the sun's activity. These global clues help us piece together a picture of the likely weather for the months to come. While no long-range forecast is ever 100% certain, these predictions give us a valuable heads-up. They allow governments, businesses, and families to make smart decisions that can save time, money, and even lives when winter weather arrives. So, as we look ahead to the winter of 2025 to 2026, we are already seeing some interesting signs. The main driver of this year's forecast is a developing weather pattern far away in the Pacific Ocean. This pattern is called La Niña, and it has a powerful influence on weather all around the globe, including right here in Europe. You may have heard the term La Niña on the news before, but what does it actually mean? Think of it as a big change in the Pacific Ocean that affects weather worldwide. Normally, trade winds blow warm surface water from east to west across the Pacific, away from South America. During a La Niña event, these winds become much stronger. They push even more warm water toward Asia, which allows cold, deep ocean water to rise to the surface near the coast of South America. This cooling of a huge patch of the ocean is the heart of La Niña. This change in ocean temperature might seem far away, but it has a massive ripple effect on the atmosphere. The cooler ocean water changes the air temperature and pressure above it. This disrupts the normal path of the jet stream, which is a fast-moving river of air high up in the atmosphere. The jet stream acts like a major highway for weather systems, guiding storms and air masses across the globe. When La Niña shifts the jet stream, it changes the weather patterns for many parts of the world, including North America, and you guessed it, Europe. It's important to know that La Niña is part of a natural cycle. Its opposite is El Niño, where the Pacific Ocean waters get warmer than usual. These two events are part of what scientists call the El Niño Southern Oscillation, or ENSO. Meteorologists watch the Pacific Ocean temperatures very closely because the development of either La Niña or El Niño is one of our biggest clues for long-range winter forecasting. So when we say a La Niña is expected for the winter of 2025 to 2026, it means we anticipate this large-scale cooling in the Pacific. This sets the stage for a chain of events that will likely influence our temperatures, our snowfall, and the types of storms we might see in Europe. With a La Niña pattern expected to take hold, what does this mean for Europe's winter in 2025 to 2026? The primary signal we are seeing points toward a season of contrasts across the continent. La Niña often causes the jet stream to take a more wavy, north-to-south path over the Atlantic. This can open the door for cold air from the Arctic to plunge southward into parts of Europe. As a result, the general expectation is for a winter that is, on average, colder than what we have experienced in the last few years. This doesn't mean every day will be freezing, but the potential for significant cold snaps is higher. When it comes to snowfall, a colder pattern often means more opportunities for snow, especially in certain regions. With more frequent intrusions of Arctic air, precipitation that might have fallen as rain in a milder winter could instead fall as snow. This could be good news for ski resorts and those who love a white winter landscape. However, the exact location and amount of snowfall will depend heavily on the track of individual storms. We anticipate that northern and eastern parts of Europe in particular could see above-average snowfall if the storm tracks align with the cold air. It's also important to consider the timing of the cold. Current models suggest that the winter could start off relatively mild in some areas, with the coldest and snowiest conditions potentially arriving later in the season, perhaps in January and February. This is a common feature of La Niña winters in Europe. The atmosphere takes time to fully respond to the changes in the Pacific, so the most dramatic effects are not always felt right at the start of December. This delayed onset of severe winter weather is something communities should be prepared for. Overall, the forecast for winter 2025 to 2026 is leaning toward a more traditional, colder, and potentially snowier season for many parts of Europe. This would be a noticeable shift from the often mild and wet winters that have become more common recently. The influence of La Niña is the key driver behind this prediction, steering the weather patterns in a direction that favors more classic winter conditions. The message is clear. It might be time to find those heavy coats and snow boots that have been sitting in the back of the closet. For many Europeans, the winter of 2025 to 2026 could feel like a return to the winters of the past. In recent years, we have grown accustomed to seasons that are often dominated by mild, westerly winds from the Atlantic Ocean. These winds typically bring damp, cloudy, and relatively warm conditions, keeping the most severe cold locked away in the Arctic. This has meant fewer days with persistent snow cover and a general lack of prolonged, deep freezes. This coming winter, however, promises a different feel. The predicted La Niña pattern is likely to disrupt that flow of mild Atlantic air. Instead of a steady stream of westerly winds, we expect more frequent blocking patterns. These are large, stagnant areas of high pressure that can set up over the North Atlantic or Scandinavia. These blocks act like a wall, stopping the mild air and forcing the jet stream to buckle. This buckle is what allows frigid air from Siberia or the Arctic to spill southward, bringing a much colder and drier air mass with it. The difference will be felt in the duration of the cold spells. While recent winters may have had brief cold snaps lasting a few days, a La Niña winter can deliver cold that lingers for a week or more. This persistent cold has a greater impact. It can freeze the ground solid, cause more issues with frozen pipes, and place a sustained demand on energy grids for heating. The air itself will likely feel different too, not just damp and chilly, but crisp, dry, and bitingly cold, the kind of cold that feels sharp when you breathe it in. Another way this winter might feel different is in the nature of the precipitation. In milder winters, precipitation often falls as a mix of rain, sleet, and wet snow. This coming winter, with colder air more firmly in place, there's a higher chance that storms will produce lighter, fluffier snow that accumulates more easily. This could lead to more widespread travel disruptions, but also more picture-perfect winter scenes. The overall experience will likely be less about gray, damp days, and more about bright, cold, and potentially snowy ones. A significant change in character from recent memory. It's fascinating to see how the same global weather driver like La Niña can produce very different effects on opposite sides of the Atlantic. While Europe is bracing for a potentially colder winter, the story for North America is often quite different. During a typical La Niña winter, the jet stream over North America also takes a wavy path. This tends to bring colder and snowier conditions to the northern tier of the United States, including the Pacific Northwest and the Upper Midwest. Places like Seattle and Minneapolis often see a very active winter season. In contrast, the southern United States usually experiences the opposite effect during a La Niña. The altered jet stream steers storms away from the south, leading to warmer and significantly drier conditions. This can raise concerns about drought in states like California, Texas, and Florida. So while someone in Helsinki might be shoveling more snow than usual, a person in Miami could be enjoying an unusually warm and sunny winter. It's a perfect example of how interconnected our global climate system is, creating a seesaw of weather patterns across the world. Comparing this to recent winters shows a clear pattern. The last few years have often been influenced by weaker patterns or by La Niña's counterpart, El Niño. During El Niño winters, Europe often experiences milder and wetter conditions, while the southern United States tends to be cooler and stormier. We saw this play out in some recent seasons where Europe had record warmth, while parts of the US dealt with significant storm systems. The upcoming La Niña winter is expected to flip that script, bringing the potential for colder weather back to Europe. This comparison is useful because it highlights that a cold winter is not a global phenomenon. It's highly regional. The same atmospheric setup that brings shivers to Berlin could bring sunny skies to Los Angeles. Understanding these large-scale connections helps meteorologists refine their forecasts and explain why your winter experience might be vastly different from what people are experiencing in other parts of the world. It's a global puzzle, and every continent gets a different piece of the weather picture each year. While the general outlook for Europe points towards a colder winter, the continent is large and diverse, and not everyone will experience the same conditions. The most significant cooling is expected across northern and eastern Europe. Countries like Scandinavia, the Baltic states, Poland, and parts of Germany are positioned to receive the most direct blasts of Arctic air. In these regions, residents should prepare for a winter that is colder than average with a higher likelihood of significant and lasting snowfall. This is the area where the classic cold winter scenario is most likely to play out. Moving south and west, the picture becomes more mixed. Southern Europe, including Spain, Italy, and Greece, may have a very different winter. While they may experience some brief cold snaps when Arctic air dives deep into the continent, the overall trend for the Mediterranean region is often for a drier and sometimes milder winter during a La Niña. The blocking high-pressure systems that bring cold to the north can prevent Atlantic storm systems from reaching the south, leading to less rainfall than usual. This could be a concern for water resources in these areas. For Western Europe, including the United Kingdom, Ireland, and France, the forecast is more uncertain. These countries are often on the battleground between the cold air from the east and the milder Atlantic air from the west. The winter weather here will likely be a tug-of-war between these two competing air masses. This could lead to a highly variable season with swings between mild, wet periods and sharp, cold, snowy spells. The exact outcome will depend on the precise position and strength of the blocking high pressure over the Atlantic. In essence, we are looking at a tale of 2 or even 3 Europes this winter. The north and east are likely to bear the brunt of the cold and snow. The south may have a quieter, drier season, and the west will likely be caught in the middle, experiencing a bit of everything. This regional detail is crucial. A forecast for Europe is too broad. Understanding the likely conditions for your specific region is key to being properly prepared for the months ahead. When we talk about a colder than average winter, it's not just about consistently chilly days. It also means there is a heightened risk of extreme weather events. One of the biggest concerns during a La Niña winter in Europe is the potential for a major cold wave, sometimes referred to as a beast from the east. This occurs when a stable high-pressure system over Scandinavia allows frigid, dense air from Siberia to flow westward across the continent for an extended period. Such an event can bring dangerously low temperatures and disruptive snow to areas that are not accustomed to it, like the UK and France. Another potential extreme event is heavy snowfall. While many welcome a picturesque blanket of white, major snowstorms can cause significant problems. With colder air in place, storm systems moving in from the Atlantic can produce large amounts of snow, leading to widespread travel chaos on roads, railways, and at airports. Coastal areas in the east, such as those along the Baltic Sea, could also experience sea-effect snow, where cold air picks up moisture over the water and dumps it as heavy snow inland. This can lead to rapid and very localized accumulations. Beyond snow and cold, there is also the risk of ice storms. This happens when temperatures are hovering right around the freezing mark, causing rain to freeze on contact with cold surfaces. Ice storms are particularly dangerous because the weight of the ice can bring down tree branches and power lines, leading to widespread and long-lasting power outages. Roads and sidewalks become treacherous sheets of ice, making travel extremely hazardous. The battleground zone of Western Europe is particularly susceptible to these types of mixed precipitation events during a volatile winter. It is important to state that a higher risk does not mean these events are guaranteed to happen. Long-range forecasts are about probabilities and likelihoods. We are flagging that the atmospheric ingredients for these types of extreme events will be more readily available this winter. Think of it like this. The kitchen is stocked with all the ingredients to bake a cake, but it doesn't mean a cake will definitely be baked. Being aware of the potential, however, is the first and most important step in preparing for it and staying safe. Knowing that a colder and possibly snowier winter is on the way gives us a great opportunity to prepare. Taking a few simple steps now can make a huge difference when the cold weather actually arrives. First, think about your home. This is a great time to check your heating system to make sure it is working efficiently. You can also check your windows and doors for any drafts. Sealing these gaps with weather stripping is an easy and inexpensive way to keep the cold air out and the warm air in, which can also help save money on your energy bills. Next, consider your personal readiness. Go through your winter wardrobe and make sure you have warm coats, hats, gloves, and waterproof boots. Dressing in layers is the most effective way to stay warm when you have to go outside. It's also a good idea to put together a simple emergency kit for both your home and your car. For your home, this should include flashlights, extra batteries, blankets, and a supply of non-perishable food and water in case of a power outage. For your car, include a blanket, an ice scraper, and a shovel. Think about your community and your neighbors as well. Winter can be especially difficult for elderly or vulnerable individuals. Check in on them before and during cold spells to see if they need any help with groceries or clearing snow. Building a strong community network is one of the best ways to ensure everyone stays safe during severe weather. If you have a sidewalk, be sure to keep it clear of snow and ice to prevent accidents for pedestrians. A little bit of neighborly help goes a long way. Finally, stay informed about the weather as it develops. Long-range forecasts give us the big picture, but daily and weekly forecasts provide the crucial details. Pay attention to your local weather reports and heed any warnings or advisories that are issued. Knowing when a storm is coming can help you adjust your travel plans, stock up on necessities, and avoid being caught in a dangerous situation. A little bit of preparation and awareness can transform a potentially stressful winter into one that is safe and manageable. As we've seen, the forecast for winter 2025 to 2026 points to a season that demands our attention and preparation. The influence of La Niña is setting the stage for a potentially colder and snowier winter for many parts of Europe, a noticeable departure from the milder seasons of recent memory. From the deep chill expected in the north and east to the variable conditions in the west, this winter will likely bring a wide range of classic winter weather. Understanding these possibilities is not about causing alarm, but about empowering ourselves with knowledge. Weather forecasts are one of the most powerful tools we have for navigating our relationship with the natural world. They help us make smarter, safer decisions every single day. For this coming winter, they are telling us to be ready. They are advising emergency services to be on alert, transport authorities to have their plans in place, and all of us to think about how we can keep our homes and families warm and safe. This foresight allows us to act proactively rather than reactively, which is always the better position to be in when dealing with Mother Nature. The beauty of modern forecasting is that it is constantly evolving. While this outlook gives us the broad strokes for the season, meteorologists will continue to monitor the situation day by day, week by week. New data will come in and the forecast will be refined and updated, providing ever greater detail as we get closer to specific events. By staying tuned to these updates, we can all have the latest and most accurate information at our fingertips, helping us navigate the winter with confidence and peace of mind. Ultimately, weather is something we all share. A winter storm or a cold snap connects us, reminding us of our shared vulnerability and our collective resilience. By taking the forecast seriously, preparing ourselves properly, and looking out for one another, we can face whatever the winter of 2025 to 2026 has in store. So, let's embrace the season ahead, enjoy the beauty that a cold and snowy winter can bring, and stay safe, warm, and informed until the spring returns once more.